The Yongle and Xuanle period in the early Ming Dynasty are very important, very critical in the history of Chinese porcelain development. The purpose of forming this collection was always to further the knowledge of Chinese porcelain. The difference between the Yongle and Xuanle period is quite subtle. The pieces that we're offering this time come from the very celebrated Tianminluo collection that was formed by Mr. Ge Shiqiao, S.C. Co. This is a collector who had a great passion for porcelain and tried and charted the developments of Chinese porcelain since the kilns in Jinzhenan were set up in the 14th century and focusing from the 14th to the 18th century mostly on blue and white porcelain. The purpose of forming this collection was always to further the knowledge of Chinese porcelain. And that's also something that he did through the publication of this beautiful 2-volume catalog in 1987 to go with this exhibition at the Hong Kong Museum of Art. And it's still today one of the great Bibles on the subject of Chinese porcelain. One of the main stars of the auction is this basin. This type of basin finds its source in Middle Eastern metalwork, such as that was produced in the 12th and 13th century in Egypt and Syria. You'll find these brass examples that have been used together with ewers to wash your hands before and after a meal. It's not a ceramic shape, it's not a shape that was born on a potter's wheel. You can see the strong angle, and in terms of the design, if you look at the interior, that sort of geometric kind of star on the inside is something, again, a design that finds its source, its origin in Middle Eastern metalwork, but is not actually found exactly like this. Now, that's a unique example that comes with a border of pinks at the rim, and what you see usually, it's a border of waves on most other examples. It's a very beautiful border. You also have these beautiful little half florets circling the base here, again, a unique design. The ball that we have here is a very typical production of the Xuanle period. You find these dice balls with a variety of designs from peony flowers, mixed flowers. You find them with the 3 Friends of Winter. You have another example that comes with lotus flowers and the 8 Buddhist emblems. That is a design that comes from Buddhism originally, and you will have seen in sort of stone carvings. By the time that you find it on porcelain in the Ming Dynasty, actually the design bears very little resemblance to the flower. I mean, you call them dice balls, this is really a connoisseur's term, but in fact they may have been used either for dice or for cricket fights or just for sort of multifunctional use. It's quite hard to know exactly how they were used. The blue here, it's got that quite punchy quality already. The painter has used to great effect the heaping and piling effect. That is one that you find with that Soumali cobalt that appears during the period and gives this very contrasty effect on the flowers that collectors from the late Ming Dynasty onwards were found extremely interesting and pleasing. Now, there's a very classic Xuanle mark on the rim here. The use of an imperial mark was standardized from that period onwards throughout the rest of China's imperial history. The difference between the Yongle and Xuanle period is quite subtle. You know, had I not seen the mark, I would have thought it's quite typically late Yongle. You can see that border of little florets. The blue is not quite as powerful as you'd necessarily expect it from the period. It's got that soft hue. It's a little bit paler. It's got that heaping and piling comes in sort of very little black little spots here that heightens the design. The classic scroll here, very fluid. Say again, is something that you usually know from the Yongle period, and of course, you know, when you have a change of regime, a change of reign, the Yongle to the Xuanle period, it is the very same painters using the same materials who work from one period into the next. That explains why the two periods can be very similar. The Yongle and Xuande period in the early Ming Dynasty are very important, very critical in the history of Chinese porcelain development. It's so a period of great standardization and great quality control. And it's a period of great creativity as well, when a lot of the designs and shapes that will inform the development of porcelain throughout the Ming Dynasty and throughout the Qing Dynasty first make their appearance. If you look at blue and white porcelain of the Qing Dynasty or even family rose porcelain, if you look at the shapes and the designs, most of them have their source in Yongle and Xuande period porcelain.